They'll build it. That's one thing they know how to do is build stories.
Cena and so many others. I guess you saw the news next year, his go away year, his retirement year. He's going to do a bunch of appearances, and 2025 is going to be the farewell tour of John Cena.
Well, he'll get that elusive, what is it, 17th world title.
Do you think that's going to happen for him? They'll crown him at
Uh,
least.
oh,
Yeah.
I don't think you can't mess with that.
Okay. Yeah.
They'll build it. That's one thing they know how to do is build stories and
Oh yeah.
suspense. And John, he paid his dues and he did a great job carrying the company, not by himself, but a portion of it on his shoulders. So, when it's his time to hang it up, that should be his call. And hopefully he will walk out and not limp out and call it a day.
Yeah, he in the presser, I got to see a little bit of it, the post-show press conference. That's exactly what he said he wanted to do, was to be able to pick his time and walk out on his terms and not have to be forced. So, but I know you had a tremendous part in his career.
Yeah.
Richie the Heel, he wants to know how you became the agent slash producer for John Cena.
I don't know when they first decided they were going to pull him up from the camp. This was a time where Vince put a lot of stock in what I had to offer and what I said and my opinion and what I could teach guys. And when they decided it was going to be between, I think, Randy and Batista and John, those were the three, and maybe one other guy that Vince was trying to decide on who was going to be his guy. He knew it was going to be Batista and Randy and John. He just didn't know. And when he decided on John, he just said to me one day, "Okay, Arn, I'm giving Cena to you. Teach him how to work. Teach him the business." It was just like that. From that point on, I guess he told whoever assigned the matches, give Cena to Arn. And I started working with him and worked with him the entire time that he was being groomed and what he became.
My question for you as follow-up to that is, who had you worked with to that point that gave Vince that confidence level in you as an agent, as a producer, to say, yes, I'm going to give you my most valuable commodity in John Cena to groom him? Was there some guys that you had worked with up to that point that told Vince, hey, Arn's the guy? Or was it just, hey, your reputation is knowing the business like you did?
Well, I'd worked with Goldberg from day one once he got brought up and worked with him a lot. When you're going to beat everybody on the roster, that takes some politicking, because after 10 or 15 or 20 weeks, some of these guys start looking around going, okay, well, they're moving up from underneath guys to middle guys to lower top guys to top guys. And when they got to where you were, you figured it was going to be Goldberg over in 3 minutes. Some guys already started to balk at it. And, you had to do some politicking with these guys and let them know it's okay. Normally you wouldn't get beat in that amount of time, but hey, it's going to be everybody, guys. So don't be the guy that bucks up and loses your job, because everybody's going to put the guy over, and in record time.
All of a sudden, you sound like your gig was also not only as an agent producer, but talent relations in that way.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I was one of the boys. I was still wrestling and wrestling in a top spot. I was doing the house shows, so I was with these guys on the road. I was doing finishes at TV. So they saw me busting my ass. And I was honest. The one thing I can say about, my job is being in the office and being an agent. I always told guys the truth. Sometimes it's not what they wanted to hear. A lot of times it wasn't. But I always told them the truth, and I didn't try to swerve anybody. And that's how I was able to walk those halls and work with all these guys too. Because if you've swerved a guy about something that he had in a finish 2 weeks ago, and now you got to go out and work 15 minutes with him 2 weeks later, you can see where that would be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
At least when you tell the truth and you're honest with them, they appreciate it. They can respect that, and it allows you to wear a lot of hats.
You have a pretty good relationship with John Cena, having worked with him so much over the years.
I have not talked to him since I left. You're starting to feel a changing of the guard, number one, around this time. But that's such a, whoever came up with that list, really doesn't have a firm grasp on what we do, because no one person is going to be responsible for drawing a house and hasn't for some time. You better have, if you got 8 matches on a card, you better have 5 that matter.
Yeah.
People are just, they're tight with a buck these days, and they got to spend their money, pick and choose where they spend their money. And one person hasn't drawn a house in a long, long time. You got to have several things that the audience is, interested in. And it's okay to have fun lists like that and give people credit. But the fact of the matter is, and you could go and dissect all those matches and who was on top. And there was probably a match or two on the card that might have been more important and more responsible for drawing the house than the one that was sitting in the main event. I'd almost bet on it. Yeah, and I think he does get a lot of the credit. It pisses a lot of people off to admit it. A lot of them are there to see John and to see his opponent, and God knows the kids are there. One thing that is crystal clear in an era that, this is an adult male sport, the kids will still come out to see somebody that is their hero, and John is definitely that guy. That's for sure. And it is incredible for 10 years he could sit atop a company that has that many stars and runs that many shows. It's pretty staggering. 10 years is a hell of a run consecutively, and a couple of things that play into that is John's very dependable. John would never missed a match, never missed a house show. He's durable. He never got hurt very often. So, if you bought a ticket to see John, you didn't get there and see, well, he was injured at Raw. We have, we're going to make a proper change to the card. You didn't have any of that. And that means a lot too, to the fans. Well, I don't know. I know it's a lot more popular to be an Austin fan or a Rock fan than it is to be a Cena fan. Maybe it's where the company was at the time and just what, Hogan did to kickstart a revolution, and what Rock and Austin did to get their company turned around and get them heading on a path to where, the one thing you got to say, and you got to give them credit for, is go back and look at those ratings. They had numbers in the 8s. You realize that?
Yeah.
Back in those days. That's something that when it occurred, and there were other people on the cards. You had DX and all these other guys, Undertaker, Kane, you had all these other stars. But I think if you went back and you gave credit to some of those, Mick Foley, but some of those numbers that were so preposterous, there hasn't been an 8 since then, and there won't be an 8 going forward. There's not that many people watching wrestling. It was one of those rare occasions where things just got together and just the stars came into alignment and it just exploded. I think a lot of that is where a lot of that hype, and deservedly so, belongs.
As a guy that helped out a lot with John Cena, do you think he should have turned heel at some point?
No.
Okay.
When you have the trust of children, and that was his audience, John, like the grown males were jealous of him to, a little bit, to a degree. And, but he had those kids. And when you have their trust and you betray their trust, I think what you would have gotten would have been a disappointed group at John, but it wouldn't have transferred into heat-seeking money drawing heat, just because, it's kids are his audience.
Well, that and what he did for Make-A-Wish, and not only that, everything about him was branded towards merch for kids. The towels, the T-shirts, everything was driven to that audience. Felt like.
Yeah, and you can't act like that didn't happen, or you had underlying reasons for doing that. I mean, it just was not a good move. It
Yeah.
would not have been a good.
And they never did it. They never did it. He was one of the guys baby faces the entire time to this day.
Same thing would apply to Steamboat.
Yeah, there you go.
Ricky used to bug me all the time. Arn, I want to work heel. I have so much fun. I want to be a heel. I said, Ricky, told him the same thing. All you would do is upset a bunch of grandmothers and grandfathers. A lot of people that believe in you, buddy. You would just disappoint them. And that's not what you want to be as a heel. You want to be a rat bastard that everybody in the building wants dead is the best case scenario to be a heel.
And as fans, you can almost, especially if it's not in their nature, it's just the farthest thing away from Ricky Steamboat. It would seem so unnatural.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And once you get there, if you figure out that it's just not clicking, it's hard for him to be automatic on doing some stuff that he's not used to doing, and it's not happening, then it's too late. You can't fix it.